But let's transition and let's go to a battle in the NFC North. It's the Minnesota Vikings, who are favored by 1.5 point, traveling to Green Bay to take on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. The over-under for this matchup is 41.5 points. So, when I look at this matchup between the Vikings and the Packers, let's start off with the Minnesota Vikings. So far this season, Kirk Cousins, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2,057 passing yards. He's completing 69% of his passes. Kirk Cousins had a great performance Monday night against an elite 49ers defense. Kirk Cousins on Monday, 35 of 45, 378 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, passer rating of 107.2. He was sensational against the 49ers on Monday. Sensational. And Kirk Cousins, although I don't feel like he's elite, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. And I came on the show Tuesday after the Vikings beat the 49ers. I came on the show Tuesday and I talked about how even though the Vikings won over the 49ers on Monday night, the Vikings are not contenders in the NFC. And I feel like Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback for the Vikings moving forward. This is going to be probably his last season in Minnesota, and his value will not get higher than it currently is. So if I was the Minnesota Vikings, I would have got on the phone Tuesday morning, and I would have been shopping Kirk Cousins around, seeing what I could have got for Kirk Cousins, because his value will never be higher than it currently is. And if you get some great draft capital for Kirk Cousins, you can go and maybe draft a Caleb Williams or Drake May in next year's NFL draft, because the Vikings are not going to be contenders in the NFC. I hear all these people talking about, man, Vikings are 3-4. Maybe they can go on a run in the NFC. And you look at the Vikings' next 6 games, week 8 in Green Bay against the Packers, winnable game. Week 9 in Atlanta against the Falcons, that's a winnable game. Week 10 home against the Saints, that's a winnable game. Week 11 against the Broncos, that's definitely a winnable game. Week 12, Bears. Week 14 at Las Vegas against the Raiders. So the next 6 games for the Vikings are winnable games. But let's just say, best case scenario, the Vikings get into the playoffs. You think the Vikings can beat the Seattle Seahawks? Do you think the Vikings can beat the Detroit Lions? Do you think the Vikings can beat the San Francisco 49ers? Do you think the Vikings can beat the Philadelphia Eagles? If your answer is no to all 4 of those questions I just asked, then the Vikings are wasting time with Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, and they need to transition to who's their quarterback going to be of the future and go and draft a quarterback. Go and draft a quarterback. See what you can get for Kirk Cousins' services. But when I look at the Minnesota Vikings offensively, Jordan Addison has been balling these last 2 weeks. And I think he's been getting more opportunities since Justin Jefferson has been out. In his first 5 games of the season, Jordan Addison only had 6 targets per game. In the last 2 games, 8 targets per game. In the first 5 games of the season, Jordan Addison had 50 receiving yards per game. In the last 2 games, he's had 76 receiving yards per game. In the first 5 games of the season, Addison, 3 touchdowns. Last 2 games, he's had 3 touchdowns, and in just 2 games. So he's really, really elevated over the last 2 weeks since Jefferson has been out with his hamstring injury. So when Jefferson comes back, this Vikings offense, with Kirk Cousins throwing the football, with Jefferson and Addison at receiver, they could be very good offensively. Now, they still don't run the football very well. They only average 75 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 30th in the NFL. So they have to get better at running the football. And they do have now Cam Akers in Minnesota. But it's going to take him some time to get into the flow of this Vikings offense. He's only been there for a few weeks. But Madison is their running back, leading the way, 90 carries, 359 receiving yards. But the Vikings offensively, when they get Jefferson back, they will be very good. But again, even if the Vikings make the playoffs as a playoff contender, they damn sure are not Super Bowl contenders in the NFC because they're not better than the Lions, Seahawks, Niners, or the Eagles, or maybe even the Cowboys for that matter. I forgot about the Cowboys. I feel like the Cowboys would also beat the Vikings as well in the playoffs. But let's transition and talk about the Packers. It's been a struggle for Jordan Love over the last few weeks. And as a Packers fan, I'm trying to be patient. I am trying to be patient with Jordan Love. But my patience is wearing thin. It's wearing thin because there has been a standard set at the quarterback position. It was set by Brett Favre, followed by Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love has not lived up to that standard over the last 4 weeks. Let's look at Jordan Love's numbers in the first 2 weeks of the season compared to weeks 3 through 7. In the first 2 weeks of the season, Jordan Love's QBR was 78. Weeks 3 through 7, 38 QBR. Weeks 1 and 2, Jordan Love, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Weeks 3 through 7, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Jordan Love has to play better. He has to play better. And he's not reading the field well. That's my problem with Jordan Love. He's not reading the field very well. And also, he doesn't have great arm strength. He doesn't have great arm strength. And you look at Jordan Love on throws 10 yards or more down the field this year. He got 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's completing 38% of his passes of 10 yards or more down the field, passer rating of only 50.2. That's the biggest reason why the Packers are struggling offensively right now. That's the biggest reason why. Jordan Love's, his arm strength is not as great as Brett Favre's arm strength was. His arm strength is not as great as Aaron Rodgers' arm strength was. So Jordan Love has to be himself and deliver the football accurately and read the defense the right way and deliver the football. He doesn't have the arm strength like Favre or Rodgers. So I feel like he needs to do a better job of reading the defense accordingly and anticipating his receivers when they get open. He's had some throws and opportunities where he misses open receivers. It happened in a Week 5 loss against the Raiders on Monday night. On the play, when he threw the game-sealing interception, he had Christian Watson. He had Christian Watson up the sideline when he snapped the football, and he didn't see Christian Watson, and he threw the ball late, interception. And then against the Broncos last week, on that play where Christian Watson got injured, I think it was on a second down play, he had Christian Watson over the middle and threw the ball late, and it was behind Christian Watson. You got to hit Christian Watson as soon as he cuts in. You got to hit him as soon as he cuts in. And then on the interception throw, he underthrew Toure. That football is supposed to be in the back corner of the end zone, and he underthrows Toure. Interception, game over. So that's the reason why the Packers are struggling right now. Now, of course, I expect this Packers defense to play better. They're led by defensive coordinator Joe Barry. You got Kenny Clark up front. You got Devondre Campbell, who should be returning back from an ankle injury that he's been dealing with. You got Preston Smith. They're going to get back Jair Alexander probably this week. You still got Quay Walker. You got Rasul Douglas. The Packers personnel are elite. This is elite personnel from a defensive standpoint, but they have underachieved this season. They have really underachieved. This year, they're giving up 355 total yards per game. That's ranked 17th in the NFL. They struggle to stop the run. You can run the football against this Packers defense. They give up 143 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 30th in the NFL, and they give up 22 points per game, which is ranked 21st. They got to get better defensively. But over the last 2 weeks, in games in which the Packers have lost, I can't blame the Packers defense. They gave up 17 to the Raiders, and they gave up 19 to the Broncos. In an offensive league, anytime you can hold the opposing team to under 20 points, the defense did their job. They did their job. So Packers got to get better. Also, Matt LaFleur has to do a better job of putting Jordan Love in positions to be successful as well. He got to do a better job. I'm starting to wonder if Matt LaFleur was being carried by Aaron Rodgers in the first few years of him being the head coach in Green Bay. I'm starting to wonder if he was being carried by Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur not necessarily being this good play caller as an offensive head coach. I got my questions. Kyle Shanahan is on another level than Matt LaFleur is. Mike McDaniel is on another level currently than Matt LaFleur is. And I don't know. Maybe Matt LaFleur was being carried by Aaron Rodgers because we need to see the development of Jordan Love. We need to see it. Stop being so damn conservative, Matt. Stop being so damn conservative. Allow Jordan Love to play aggressive and be aggressive in your play calling. Guess what, Matt? If you're aggressive and Jordan Love doesn't play well, we won't blame you at the end of the season. We'll blame Jordan Love and say he's not our quarterback for the future. But as a Packers fan, I got questions about the quarterback and the head coach right now. I got questions about both. So we'll see how the Packers perform in this matchup against the Vikings. But if the Packers lose this game against the Vikings, it's going to be time to sell at the trading deadline Tuesday afternoon. Time to sell. 2-5. You're heading in the wrong direction. But with all that being said, everyone is high on the Minnesota Vikings right now and feeling like the Vikings can beat the Packers at Lambeau. And I ain't giving up on my boys. So with that being said, I'm rolling with the Green Bay Packers to beat the Minnesota Vikings Sunday afternoon at Lambeau Field. I'm going Packers 21, Vikings 20.